For 6 decades, this Black-owned barber shop has been the place where cuts are tight, roots run deep, and legacy is everything. Our Cassidy Fury joins us in the studio to tell us more about a father's legacy to his family. Thank you for joining us, Cass.
Owner of that building sold it. Marcel Jones Sr. converted his home garage into his new business. Years later, his son Marcel Jones Jr. reestablished the shop on Market Street in December of 2024. This is their story of legacy, loyalty, and community.
This is Home, sponsored by A1 Heating and Cooling and TB Dentistry.
The soothing hum of clippers doesn't just signal your next haircut. For those who enter Marcel Jones Jr.'s barber shop, it represents so much more.
And I walked in there, and his dad was in there with him. It was like walking back in the 1950s. But I just felt at home automatically, right off the bat.
Marcel's was established in 1965 by his father, Marcel Jones Sr., who had cut hair for Booker's barber shop in Vienna before starting his own business.
He was a very personal person. He always had a lot of clients until later on, until his cuts didn't get as sharp.
It was Jones Sr.'s wish to have a shop in downtown Parkersburg.
And at that time, raising 7 kids, it was a little expensive down here. So he transformed his the garage into a shop.
Jones Jr. closed up his own shop in Texas in 2018 to come back home to help his aging father and his business. Billy Burkhart, or as Jones Jr. used to call him, Cowboy, said he wouldn't trust anyone else with his beard.
He does a really good job. He's a nice man. He's got a great heart, and this is where you need to be. Marcel's barbershop.
In the next 5 years, Jones Jr. hopes to have a full shop and focus more on being a mentor to his staff.
My dad built a legacy here, so I just can't, hire just anybody.
Jones Jr. and his wife Stacy, who handles the front desk, have taken on 42 new clients since relocating to their Market Street location last December. As the store and staff grow, rest assured that you can expect the same quality and connection that has kept Marcel's legacy alive for 60 years. Reporting from Parkersburg, WTAP News, I'm Cassidy Fury, and this is Home.
Barbershop, you can expect a clean and inviting atmosphere filled with history and heart. He even curates beard and hair products from companies that he trusts that you can buy after your appointment. Jones Jr. plans to keep the family business alive for as long as he can. Thanks, Logan. Back to you.
Cassidy Fury reporting in the studio. Cass, thank you.